What's up? Derek here with Two Guys Build a Biz, and this is an absolute fire interview with Nick Neville, one of our students from the SMMA Blueprint. David and I, we were able to quit our jobs through SMMA, and Nick has done the exact same thing with our process. It's super inspiring to see this powerful interview. He actually quit his job 45 days into his SMMA, completely replaced his income, and is crushing it. Watch this interview, it's fantastic, it's inspiring, and I hope you get some value from this.
Cool. Hey guys, my name is Nick Neville, Vader Marketing here in Kentucky. Been a member of the SMMA hacker group for quite a while now. Most of you've probably seen me in there. I try and get on and leave comments and help people out where I can. And finally got my agency to a point where I was able to quit my job recently. And just kind of wanted to share some of my experiences. Hopefully I can offer some value to you guys, and maybe you'll get to this point sometime soon.
Yeah.
Totally.
And
maybe
that's a huge step. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such an awesome, story to see. I remember seeing you join, the community early on, just kind of like get the wheels in motion. Do you maybe want to tell a little bit about, your background, career-wise, kind of like where you were at, what you knew about like social media marketing before joining the community? And then, obviously we're going to dig into like some questions about the course and like your agency and stuff like that, but just give us like an understanding of like where you were at back in the day, and just kind of like some timelines in terms of just the chain of events that led to you having so much success.
Gotcha. So I've been in sales most of my adult life anyway. Everything from home appliances, sold vehicles for a long time. And then finally my last official job outside of my agency was with a large multi-million-dollar company that sells outdoor kitchens and outdoor grilling products. Was a sales manager and a sales trainer for them for several years. And it required me to travel all over the world and go to expo centers, and I'd be in Chicago one week, New York next week, and was just on the road all the time, man, and I hated it. About a year ago, they asked me if I would be interested in coming off of the road and doing all of their marketing for them. I was the youngest guy in the company, moved up very quickly while I was there, and everybody else that was on the corporate side of the company, they all barely knew how to log into Facebook, let alone do anything on the social media platforms. So I said, sure, send me some information and, kind of what you guys have to offer. Obviously, I'd love to get off the road, but it has to be worth it, price point wise, to leave my sales gig, because I was paid on commission and I did fairly well. They had told me that they had got a quote from a marketing company to do the same work for them for 10 grand a month. And obviously they weren't willing to pay me that because I wasn't a professional marketing company. So I hit them with a quote to pay me 5 grand a month, and I would come off the road and do all of their marketing for them full time. And they accepted it. So for about 6 months I did that. I had no clue what I was doing. I was just watching YouTube and learning as I went, man. So I finally decided that it was time to buy a course. And I had been in you guys' group for maybe a month or so at that time. And I was comparing several different courses and trying to find which one was going to be the best option for me. You guys went live with your course. I think at the time you were offering a pretty big discount on it, and it was a no-brainer for me to jump into it. Super happy I did. I've since bought like 3 other courses after I took yours, and literally didn't learn anything in the other 3 courses that I hadn't already learned from yours.
That's awesome.
I was super impressed, man. Super impressed.
Yeah, that's super awesome to hear. It's not cool to hear that you spent money on these other courses and didn't get a lot of value from them, but definitely hadn't heard from that from you before, that you'd kind of learned everything you needed to know. And didn't really get a lot from the other stuff.
Well, most of the other courses, they do go into details about certain things, but then they leave key points out. You guys' course was very thorough all the way from starting your corporation all the way through to scaling your agency at the end. You guys dive deep into sales, which isn't something that had a whole lot of value to me, but being able to see your perspective on it. And, I took some of you guys' scripts and some known scripts that I already had and was able to formulate those to work for my target market. Most of the other courses that I've taken, they dive pretty deep into Facebook stuff, but they don't cover every base that you guys did.
Cool. No, that's awesome. And I mean, that's really, Derek and I, when we created the course, basically said, we're not even going to create one unless we're confident that, if we're going to spend all this time on it, and put this together, we're not even going to create it unless we know that it's going to be, the best course that's out there.
I didn't want to make one for a long time just because I was like, I'm not going to feel good about selling something that's going to, just not be valuable and not be able to actually get somebody from 0 to, 6 figures or more in a short period of time. So once we did knuckle down and get it done and put the work into it, I'm definitely glad. So I think a question I had for you was, what gave you, maybe the confidence or the indicators to just kind of burn the boat and quit that job? Or what did that process look like, emotionally or just, logically for you to make that decision? Because that's something David and I did. So I definitely had some struggles with it, but it also was a no-brainer at the same time. So would love to hear kind of your thoughts on that.
Early on, I had kind of set a goal for myself that if I could hit the same $5,000 a month in revenue, that I could justify leaving that job and focusing on this full time. I never really, after I took the course and understood some of the backgrounds on how to get results for clients, I'd never really had any doubts because I know what my abilities are. Once I can get a client in front of me, I don't have any problem closing, a vast majority of my meetings and stuff like that. I hit that $5,000 a month, and then I stayed with my company for a little bit longer because I felt kind of loyal to them and wanted to make sure that we ended things on good terms. And they still to this day text me 2 or 3 times a week and ask if I'm ready to come back, which isn't going to happen, but it's nice to be wanted at least, I guess.
Yeah,
Totally.
That's awesome.
Yeah, leaving on good terms is always a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever possible.
Well, that's cool that you're able to get it to, a financial position that you're able to just make that switch. I know for David and myself, we were both so involved with our current jobs that we just couldn't allocate the time necessary to build it up to making what we were making at our jobs. Because we both had 6-figure jobs that we left, and it just got to the point where we're like, all right, is this going to be a side hustle, or is this going to be something we go at full steam and make it happen? So I think we had like 3-4 clients, and then we finally said, screw it, let's burn the boat, let's make it happen. And then we just boom, took off after that. So
it's an awesome feeling, man. It's scary, but it's an awesome feeling when you finally have that weight lifted off your shoulders. And
oh yeah, no, definitely. One question that I have, just from like Instagram and like, Derek and I get a lot of DMs from people, and I'm sure that you do too, just from like the value that you bring in. One thing that, I had coffee with somebody the other day, and, he was kind of talking about, not understanding, or kind of being like, I feel like just with what I, know myself and what I can find on YouTube and stuff like that, I feel like I can start an agency and run it. I said, more power to you. If you can kind of do that, that was one of the big challenges that Derek and I had was, there were some courses that existed to kind of get some training, but there were these big gaps, and we were kind of left to figure out Facebook ads, email marketing from, the school of hard knocks and kind of trial and error and, all that stuff. So, I guess my question for you is like, what's the biggest piece of value that, you got from the course? And I guess our intention when we created it was to kind of be a mentor that took what took us years to kind of figure out, right? 18 months, 24 months of, running Facebook ads and turn it into something that was easily digestible and consumable. And then something that our students could take action on in days and weeks instead of, years. I guess for you, what's the biggest piece of value, or like, I guess, what's the biggest thing that you've taken from it other than kind of a blueprint of sorts on how to get things running?
The biggest thing for me, the way I see any of those courses, if you spent enough time searching the internet, you could probably find all of the same information, but you're going to spend, months trying to take all that info in, locate the info, watch all, 10,000 YouTube videos. Whereas with you guys' course, I have everything I need on my screen. I can go through one by one, watch a video, take notes, go back and rewatch it later if I need a refreshment on it. Probably the biggest key component of the course that helped me was actually the presentation while I'm in front of business owners. And I really like the way that you guys broke down, you built the presentation live for people. It's awesome to be able to go through that and understand your thought processes as you were doing that. And some of the reasons why you put those key components in there. For instance, you want to give the client enough information so that they know you're an authority, but at the same time, you want to leave them a little curious without overloading them with information and confusing them at the same time.
Yep.
So that was probably my favorite part of the course, is you guys actually going over the presentation and going into detail what your thought processes are while you're presenting that to the prospect.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I mean, even for somebody like yourself who, like Derek and myself, Derek specifically comes from like extremely in-depth marketing sales. Like he worked for one of the largest agencies, really hitting the phones, dealing with attorneys who I know you've dealt with a little bit and can be, pretty darn tough to move forward. And like my background though was in like recruiting and enterprise security sales. And like you, I was on the road like all the time. And it was only because of Derek's, knowledge in this industry that we were able to, create these proposals that, clients literally can't say no to. And like, I know the client meeting guide and like that whole, process, is basically set up. Like, even if you're a rock star salesperson, it's like, get this specific information as it pertains to social media, and then, put this proposal together in this way. And I mean, it's just amazing, how well it converts. And it's just awesome to hear that it's working so well for you.
Right.
Cool. So as far as, obviously kind of getting the ship in the air, you got incorporated, in that short timeline. I mean, I remember when you joined the course itself, it was like, 6 weeks basically, from the day that, we posted, some success, and you're like, you guys, I just left, my job. And I was like, what date did Nick actually buy the course? I was like, oh my gosh, it was like 6 weeks ago to the date. Can you maybe just take me through like, what those 6 weeks looked like for you? I mean, what were you thinking? Like, what were the processes? Like, as you kind of started closing these deals and scaling, to the point that you were darn near six figures and past, what you were making at your day job. I mean, just kind of take me through some of those timelines. I mean, that's just so ridiculous.
Yeah. So I was pretty fortunate. Of course, in my last job, like I said, I traveled around, went to a lot of conventions and stuff like that. Networked with a ton of large business owners, multi-million-dollar type, whether it's grill companies or, all different kinds of industries. So my first step, once I decided I was ready to do this and wanted to reach out to clients, is I just jumped on Facebook and just started messaging all of these guys that I had met in my past life and gotten a chance to, get to know a little bit and hang out with while we were at these conventions, and was very fortunate that I landed two pretty good sized clients. I think one was at 2,500 a month and the other at right at 1,200 a month. Not even running all of their campaigns, but just helping them out with some marketing stuff on the side. So that helped a whole lot. But I spent probably the first month just picking up my phone every day. I'd have a list of 100 businesses on a piece of paper, and I'd just go down the list and call and call and call. That's something I'm used to with other sales jobs I've had in the past. A lot of people have a fear of cold calling. That's never been an issue for me. I actually like when people hang up on me because one of my favorite things to do is if somebody hung up on me, I would instantly call every one of their competitors within 15 miles, and I would do everything I could to close them.
Yep.
It's because I'm a spiteful person, man.
Yeah, I get pissed
so a lot of
off.
times,
I'm just like, all right, cool.
right.
That's fine. You're going to fail. Next.
Yep.
And it's hard, man. When you first start cold calling, you guys know, you do get discouraged. And even now, you know, I've probably made 100,000 cold calls in my life.
Yep.
It's still, I get a little nervous sometimes when I'm actually hitting that dial button to start ringing into somebody. But the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
And the rejection gets to a point where it no longer bothers you. You just understand it's a numbers game. If you have 100 phone numbers on a list, you're probably going to get hung up several dozen times out of those 100 people. But you also probably are going to find a couple that'll listen to you.
Yeah, I think that's just such a valuable insight for, you know, a lot of the people that are going to be watching this who, you know, maybe don't come from sales backgrounds, you know, who
Right.
haven't had like that manager or mentor. And I mean, we talked to this in the course, but you know, you just echoing that point that it is a numbers game. You know, whether you're cold calling, whether you're cold emailing, whether you're knocking on doors, you know, referrals, you know, using like the LinkedIn course that we teach and prospecting on LinkedIn, like the more conversations you have, the more at bats you take, the more clients are going to close, you know, and
Exactly.
like everybody's looking for the shortcut, like, oh, what's the easiest way to sign clients? And you just said it. It's have a list, you know, have whatever strategy you feel like doing that day, whether it's cold calling, emailing, knocking on doors, LinkedIn, whatever, and don't stop until you've hit whatever number you set for the day, you know,
Right.
and then you'll be amazed at how short that timeline to your first client becomes when you start thinking in multiples of 100, you know?
Yep. I'm a big Grant Cardone fan, and I've always believed in 10xing everything. So if you have 50 businesses that you want to call one day, just keep going till you get as close to 500 as you can.
Yeah.
If
Yep.
you 10x your outreach, then you're going to 10x your results every single time.
Yeah. 100%, man.
Yeah. And even if you don't hit that 10x goal, failing on that 10x goal versus that 15 client goal you had, you're going to be miles ahead of where you're at. And I mean, I always try to think what I'm cold calling is I'm just trying to find the right person. So
Yep.
if they are hanging up on me, if they are saying no, it sucks, but it's not something I'm going to take personally. I might light a fire under my ass a little bit and, you know, do things like you where you're like, all right, let's call your competitors and things like that. But I'm just like, all right, they're not the right one. They're not the right one, you know, and you're going to get that person where they pick up the phone and it's like, yeah, I was literally just thinking about how I need to have my social media in order, or I was just talking to a business owner. And those moments are happening every day, every second. And it's just, if you can insert yourself into that conversation, right place, right time,
Yep.
say the right things, have the right process, follow up, the proposal, kind of that whole sales 101 end-to-end process, like you're going to make shit happen.
Right. And people get caught up on it. If somebody hangs up on you, they weren't a client that you wanted to work with anyway.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. Just call somebody else.
exactly.
Yep.
And we think about that too, even when we're in the sales process and each step is just such a hurdle.
Right.
Like, and they're just nitpicking the hell out of the contract and they're, you know, fighting us on it, or they're fighting us on how to, this is a big one. They're fighting us on how to pay us. You know, they don't want to use this platform. They want to use that platform. they don't want to pay with a check. They only want to do it on PayPal, or there's always like this resistance. And usually when we start to see that, we're like, all right, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. And usually if it's like more than 2 red flags, we're just at that point, we're like, all right, we need to just let this guy go, because we know it's just going to be a hassle down the road. We want to work with people that are excited, that get it, that also want to grow and are, willing to take some risks and lean on our experience, and just fun people to work with that want to grow their business. So
yeah. It's amazing to me the number of business owners that don't even understand basic KPI numbers behind their business,
or even know what KPI means.
Right. And you could sit there and spend 2 hours trying to explain the process to them, but chances are, if they don't know the lifetime value of their customer, then they're not going to see the value in what you're offering them anyway.
Yep. And those are huge things to ask in that sales process, even before you're working with them, because then it just makes them realize, oh shit, I didn't even think about that before. I don't even know what my lifetime value is, or, the average customer cost, or, per month, per 12 months, for lifetime. So you start posing those questions and having a business conversation. That's what, like, a lot of people, they just want to go in and talk about how great social media is, and that's where all the attention is, and it doesn't matter to these business owners. But when you can, like you said, talk about things like key performance indicators, or lifetime value of a customer, or what's the the ROI, or any of those metric orientated things that are going to get you to actually talk about their business and growth and their goals, totally changes the conversation. And then the social media thing just becomes a tool to get to that goal. Like, we're talking about business goals here. We're talking about revenue. We're talking about capacity, not just pretty pictures and posting. Yes, these are going to be tools to get us there, but that's where I like to have the sales conversation go. And then once we have that goal, then we can just reverse engineer whatever system, tool, platform, service offering we need to do to get us to that goal.
Right. That's something that I try to bring up to my clients and reinforce with them when I'm chatting with them is, I call myself a social media marketing agency, but in reality, my goal is to get you attention. It just so happens that social media is one of the best ways to do that right now. A lot of people, I think, get too caught up in being a Facebook ad agency rather than understanding that your ultimate goal is just to put the business in front of as many potential buyers at the right time, and the right type of buyers that are, going to be ready to do business with them.
Yep.
It just so happens that Facebook has one of the best platforms to do that.
Yeah, we always talk about being, platform agnostic, right? And that's why we talk about so many different channels. Like, we don't just teach Facebook ads. We don't just teach email marketing. We don't just teach, how to create websites and stuff like that. It's like, how do you do all these things to create that funnel where you're going to bring the business attention, and then you're going to capture all of that and really maximize that ROI for them, so that it isn't just a one, dimensional, where if Facebook tweaks the algorithm or something like that, your whole marketing strategy tips over. And kind of setting those businesses up for success. So as somebody who's like trained salespeople before, and, comes from your background and stuff like that, I'm sure you've seen everybody in these groups, asking like about that first client, or, getting clients with no, case studies, or, hey, I'm a young person, I don't have a lot of experience. And somebody like yourself who didn't come up from an agency world, who didn't have like this traditional agency background where they were delivering Facebook ads for a big company and stuff like that. What would you say is like, how did you go about getting that first client? Like, what kind of things did you tell them to, build that confidence? And I'm sure a lot of it just came from confidence in your skills and being able to deliver, but, maybe tell a little bit of that story of kind of those first couple clients and the challenges that you faced and how you overcame them.
Yeah. So I really used me being new to the industry as leverage when I was talking with clients. So one of the things I would tell my client is, I am new to this. I want you to understand that I'm trying to build a business here. You're one of the first clients I'm bringing on. So I'm going to go above and beyond for you because I need your references. I need your testimonials to help me with my venture later down the road. Unlike the big agencies that have 50 clients, I'm going to be dedicated to you guys because I'm just getting started out and I need your help to grow my brand.
And what did they, I mean, I feel like so many people just don't even see that as like a possibility. You know, they think that business owners are going to be like, oh, you're inexperienced, I'm not going to give you, you know, this money. But the reality is a lot of them have been burned by these bigger agencies. They've been put into the agency machine and they're looking for somebody that, you know, is going to be fully focused on them, is going to answer the phone every time they call. You know, so what did these businesses like say to you when you told them that? I mean, was that a sticking point? Were they like, you know, what was that conversation like?
I mean, most of them, that really resonated with them because, I mean, a lot of business owners understand the leap of faith that it takes to go out and actually start a business like that. And the fact that, you know, sometimes you just have to go out there and keep pushing until you make it happen. And they understand when they were starting their business, if they didn't go above and beyond for their first couple clients, then their business would never have got to the point that it is now. So I think that really resonates with a lot of business owners, more so than anyone thinks. And also business owners can tell if you're making up case studies or borrowing case studies from somebody else, but then they ask you basic questions about it and you dance around it and you're not able to answer them completely and honestly. People pick up on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think being honest about it is something that I tell people a lot. You know, they're like, "Oh, can you give me a case study for this?" And I'm like, I could, but I really feel like there's just going to open up a whole can of worms and more questions. Like our first client, I went out on my lunch break into the car with my tablet and kind of emailed them the proposal, same style that's like in the course. And I just went through it with them in the car. And then we talked about, you know, what kind of clients do you currently have? And, you know, I let them know, hey, I've ran an ad for a salon, but you're really the first one. And basically she was excited because of like the value that I had built into the proposal. I showed that I listened in that needs analysis. I regurgitated all the goals that she had laid out, even some things that she may have forgotten that she mentioned. And then when it got to that point, she literally said, I'm so excited to work with you. And I know that, and I'm so excited to be with you at this point of your business because I know you're going to make a big agency. I know this is going to be big and I'm super excited to be with you at this point in time.
Right.
So
I'm not afraid to leverage their competition against them. So one of the very first meetings I went to, I sat down with a restaurant, bowling alley, and bar combo. And I told the guy, I said, listen, I'm going to sign a restaurant in this town this week. I came to you first because I like what you have to offer. I do business with you, and I wanted to give you first shot. If you pass on it, one of your competitions is going to do business with me, I promise.
Yep.
And I closed him right then, right after saying that, because he didn't want his competition to take advantage of it.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've done that with attorneys before in the past too, because they're all so close. They have one town. They're all fighting over the same type of practice. So yeah, that definitely is a good play. It's just nice to have little arrows in your quiver is what we call it, to pull out if you need it. You don't need to do that with every call, but sometimes it's appropriate and needed.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, this is just like so awesome to see somebody, you know, I mean, Derek and I put a lot of time into the course and just seeing somebody, you know, really take it, you know, all the way. And, you know, when we first heard that you were kind of the first student that we know of at least to, you know, actually leave their job. I mean, I'm just super curious about like what life looks like now, right? I mean, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? And then, you know, what does your day, you know, as a business owner look compared to, you know, the road warrior sales guy who was, you know, traveling all the time and, always on the road for somebody else. What's life like now? What does your day look like? And, just tell me a little bit about that.
Man, it's awesome. I wake up, I go to my home office, which is, directly across the hall from my bedroom. I put in a couple hours of work. I take about a 3-hour lunch every day and just go run around town. If I need to run errands, I go sit down and eat somewhere. And then I come back, put a couple more hours in. I probably spend 20 hours a week actually doing ads and, optimizing campaigns for clients. And the rest of the time, man, I'll grab a fishing pole and head down to the lake or jump on my motorcycle and go for a ride. Whereas before, I practically lived on the road. And even when I wasn't working, I was in a hotel room somewhere. It's just amazing to be able to be home and have the freedom to do whatever I want. I was chatting with my girlfriend the other day and was like, I really need a vacation. So I jumped on VRBO and booked a beach house in South Carolina next month. And I'm going to go down there and spend 2 weeks, and it doesn't matter.
Yep.
I'll take my laptop. I'll be able to work while I'm there a couple hours in the morning, and the rest of my life keeps going on.
Love that. Yeah, as two travel junkies ourselves, that was, I remember I kept telling Derek, I'm like, man, I can't wait till, we can just travel or like go to conferences together for like our own business and,
Right.
go, Derek went for almost all of February to Costa Rica. And then I was like, man, Derek's really making this seem like a lot of fun, and I haven't been anywhere in a while. So as soon as he got back, I booked a trip, It's like, and guess what? The ship keeps sailing, and no, I mean, that's the coolest thing about, like SMMA and like to the young people watching this, it's like you can pay off your student loans faster if that's important. You can have location independence. Like if the 9-to-5 like doesn't seem like something that you're interested in, this is a real way where, you with a mobile device and an iPad, not even a laptop necessarily, are able to like enable this type of life that you see people on Instagram and like all these kind of people living. And it's not a phony business. It's a real business where, business owners, and I think you made such a good point earlier that like, there's tons of people that don't even know what a KPI is. They don't understand what marketing is. They barely have a Facebook profile. And to the young guys out there who are like, oh man, like I'm not super technical. I don't have a ton of these skills. More than a lot of these business owners do about this stuff. And they're smart, savvy business owners. That's why they've been in business for so long. And when somebody like Nick comes along, or somebody like Derek or myself says, I can save you time, and has that strategy that we talk about that says like the needs analysis and getting the right information from them so that you can map a strategy to their goals, it's a no-brainer, if you know how to do that effectively.
Right.
Yeah. If you train yourself from low end 10, 15 hours to 50 hours into this business and into this world, you are going to know so much more than the average business owner, because they don't have time, and they haven't either grown up with it or they're not actively using it. They're just doing whatever they've done to get them to this point, and they're hoping and praying and holding their breath that continues to get the job done, now and in the future. And there's no reason to be intimidated to reach out to these guys, because you're bringing real value. You're bringing something that they don't understand and know. And even if you're a beginner and you're just learning and you're just getting your feet wet, you still know more than they do. Like like you don't have to think of yourself as, I gotta become this guru before then I have the balls to go call this company. No, like get some information, learn a few tricks, and then go make something happen.
Right.
But yeah, I love that. I could see on your face as you're like describing your state of mind and your life now versus where you are. I know I feel like that all the time. Like Sunday night, I don't even think about, oh, it's Monday tomorrow. It's just like, oh, tomorrow's another day.
Right.
I don't have that sick feeling like, oh God, I got to have this meeting, or I got to do this or that. And even if there are going to be, it's not all just like sunshine and rainbows. Like there's going to be stressful situations, tough conversations you have to have, maybe with clients or performance or whatever. But at the end of the day, I always still take a step back and I'm like, what's the alternative? You know, like what would life be like if I was stuck in that 9 to 5 still? So yeah, I'm super grateful for this kind of space and being able to do this, travel, work from my laptop. It's fantastic. And the fact that you're doing that, and, you know, we're able to help someone like you, or, you know, that's already extremely skilled, but just give a subtle tweak or a little bit of information that you can take and run with is pretty awesome to see.
It's fantastic, man. It's changed my life.
That's so awesome. I think the same's for Derek and myself. And I mean, I was in like the exact same spot as you, like traveling all the time. I remember like I'd get to the hotel room and I would be doing biz dev stuff for VTL, the agency, you know, like I'd go do my like duties for my job, you know, move things forward, get the proposals out. And then as soon as I had that opportunity, like switch over to VTL stuff, be sending out emails, like any chance that we got, you know, to make it happen. And it's like, it's crazy to look back on that, you know, and just be like, man, like I wish I knew about SMMA sooner, you know, but at the same time, you know, glad I found it when I did. And it's like, I'm, you know, jealous and envious in a lot of ways of like some of these younger people who have like this opportunity, you know, at a younger age, just because it's only going to get bigger, you know, like people are like, oh, is it saturated? Right. Like, aren't all these businesses, you know, kind of, you know, the answer is no. It's like more and more people are getting clued into it. I can't even tell you how many people we've talked to in the past who have told us no, who later come back and are like, oh, I think this is a good idea now.
Right.
You know, oh, I talked to somebody else and they're like, you know, you need to be on social media. And I remember talking to you guys, or, you know, whatever, they come back into the fold. It's just like more and more and more, Facebook's only getting better at what they do, making it easier for people like us who know what we're doing to market these businesses, provide value, you know, and it's only going to keep growing.
Right.
Well, sweet. Do you want to shout out maybe your channels or anything about your company, Nick, just for the community, or any questions that you want to leave people with?
No, it's not necessary. One thing I did want to kind of dive a little bit into is one of the ways I've been able to scale so fast through you guys' LinkedIn course. That's probably one of the key components that helped me the most. I was spending a lot of time on client acquisition, cold calling, cold emailing, you know, just trying to get in front of people. And I got your LinkedIn course and took it, and I literally had to turn off my LinkedIn so that I could keep up with the workload I had going on.
Yeah.
Like my first 2 weeks, I think I scheduled like 6 meetings. And out of those 6, I closed 3 clients and had to stop going after new clients because I couldn't keep up with the workload I had.
Awesome.
And it was a game changer for me. I don't spend 20 hours a week now on the phone cold calling people or typing out emails. I can go on LinkedIn. I've got it all set up so it's an automated process for me, and the clients come to me.
That's an empowering feeling for sure.
Yeah, it is. And not just regular clients, but I can target particularly, you know, high ticket people. Before, you know, I may call up a business that was worth $500 a month to me, and then the next phone call may be somebody that I was trying to get for $3,000 a month. With LinkedIn, I can specifically target only those people that I know can afford my services.
Totally. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And maybe, you know, just for, you know, people who aren't totally familiar with the SMMA blueprint and then the high ticket LinkedIn course,
Mm-hmm.
you know, from somebody who's actually consumed these, you know, not Derek or I's like biased opinions or who we think they should be for, you know, do you maybe just want to talk about, like, depending on where you're at in your agency journey, like which course you would recommend as somebody that's taken them, implemented them, and seen great return from them?
Yeah. I mean, if you're just getting started or still, even if you have a couple clients, the blueprint definitely is going to help you get structure to your agency. Even if you understand how ads work and the ways to run a good campaign and understand how to acquire clients, the structure that it provides you is going to open you up to the possibilities for scaling in the future. Once you're ready to scale and you want to put client acquisition on an automated process, then you definitely need to jump into the LinkedIn course at that time. And it's going to just mainstream everything so that you can spend more time on the things that you enjoy and less time on client acquisition. I'm to a point now where I literally can't take on any more clients. I'm too scared to hire or outsource some of the workload that I have. So I'm not doing any client acquisition right now. But I miss calling people. I miss trying to close deals. So I jump in the group from time to time and try and help people out. And I've offered to jump on calls with people and help them close deals because that's what I enjoy. I no longer have to do it to feed my agency or put food on my plate, but it's something I enjoy.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with, you don't need a huge team to do this and be successful. Like you said, I mean, you're at the 6-figure point, which is more than many people, 95% of the world population will make in their, per year in their entire career. And right. You're doing it with 5 to 6, 20 hours a week, put into it, which is half the time, that it would take somebody, and like I was at, 6 figures with my other job, and I was traveling all the time. Right. It was 70, 80-hour work weeks at least, a lot of which was with my butt on a plane. Whereas, you can go take 3-hour fishing breaks in the middle of the day, like deliver the services yourself. And, the agency can basically be whatever you want it to be. Like, it doesn't need to be $1 million agency, where you've got 10 people. It can be something that makes you a couple extra $1,000 on the side, or, it can be a healthy side hustle that makes you that tidy cash, or it can be a lifestyle business like what you got going on, where you're making a ton of freaking money, but still have all that time and flexibility, and the confidence that you have the skills to keep those clients on board. That's just awesome.
Right. And that was my biggest goal, was the financial freedom. I don't necessarily need to be a millionaire or grow my agency to a certain level. I just wanted the ability to, if I wake up one day and decide, hey, I'm going to head to Mexico today, I literally can jump in my truck and drive to the airport and jump in a plane, go to Mexico, and nothing is affected. Mm-hmm. I can still make money while I'm there. I can do whatever I want to do and not have to put in vacation time or worry if I'm running out of vacation days at my job or anything else. I have the freedom to do what I want to do.
Yep. Yeah, I think Derek and I had our first 30K plus month. I remember I was sending invoices from a train between Paris and Berlin. Yeah. I remember I messaged him. I was like, dude, we just, blew past, 30K, invoice this month. And then, the first time that we pushed over like 45K, he was in Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. And, it was like life goes on. Business is doing its thing. He's putting in a couple hours in the morning, by the pool, petting, sloths in the afternoon, checking out waterfalls and shooting videos. And yeah, I mean, it's just laptop life, man. It doesn't need to be, the dream that, people think that, is fake. It's like, it's a real thing. Like, open up your laptop anywhere in the world, manage social media, run a lifestyle business. It's awesome.
Yeah. And it's important to understand that's different than the get rich quick mentality that a lot of these course gurus and stuff have. And that's something you guys are very adamant about in your course, which is awesome, is you still have to put in the work. You still have to be dedicated to learning your craft, and doing the workload. A lot of these course gurus post pictures of them standing in front of a rented Ferrari and just want to sell the lifestyle of becoming a millionaire, which is definitely possible with this business model in this industry. But there is work required too.
Yeah, and that's like such a real point. One of the biggest like course guys, actually, Kevin David, he put out a great, editorial the other day and basically was talking about like, look at what they're actually doing, and so many of these gurus, like they start, and this is by no means bad mouthing. Like I haven't looked at these people's books or anything like that, but it seems that they really kind of switch to that course business and they move away from, kind of running the agency and making that their core business. Whereas like Derek and I, first and foremost, like we run an agency. Like I'm in our office, we deliver these services all day, every day. That's why we continue adding stuff to the course as we kind of learn it and the industry shifts, kind of staying ahead of that and that curriculum and stuff like that. And yeah, it's not a get rich, quick scheme. It took a lot of work to get, where we are. I know you put in the time, you just did it in an insanely short period of time, and it's just cool to hear, if you just put in the hours on the front end, you're going to see that return, down the line, where it enables you to have that financial independence, that location independence, and that flexibility. It's something that's earned, right? Not something that's given. But with the roadmap, with the blueprint, it turns years into days and weeks.
Right. And that's one of the reasons I decided to invest in you guys' course over some of the others that I had looked at originally. You guys weren't trying to pitch me from your garage with 4 rented cars and a wall full of books. And you guys made it known that there is work required, but we are going to give you a path to get you there as long as you're dedicated enough to put in the work. And that honesty goes a long way with me, rather than just trying to sell the lifestyle. You guys actually made it known that this is just a blueprint. It's not going to make you a millionaire. You have to be dedicated to do the work, and it can teach you how to get there, but it's not going to be instant success.
Definitely. One thing that David and I are finding too is that through going through this process and selling these services and helping other businesses grow, like we are literally in a position now that if we want to take on, we're discussing a business opportunity with some lawyers and some other things right now of a company that we want to start, still continue running our social media marketing agency. But this is something that we can kind of plug in to our system, and we can get a website up and running. We can get the marketing around it, the logos, the branding, the Instagram, the Facebook, the Shopify store, everything, deliver it in. I mean, we could get it done in less than a week, 100%. But, if we really went balls out, we could probably get it done in 2 to 3 days, just because of the skills that we have. And I'm talking like video, everything. So it not only is this a great way for you to become financially free or make money and have that freedom to do what you want, work for yourself, but this is also something that's going to set you up in the future, because you might take on other business ventures, you might partner with people, and then now you have all this knowledge and skill set to really build a business and build business not only just for your own business but for other people. So the more exposure you get to new industries and new businesses is just going to make you that much more of a valuable marketer, a valuable businessman, and just ultimately bring you more revenue throughout your life and your career.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, as you get to a point where you can start outsourcing some tasks, you really can free up your time to go chase other business ventures if you want to, or other revenue streams, or whatever you decide you want to do. You can hire people and teach them the knowledge that you have, and give them some responsibility. And that's something I'm struggling with now. But in order for me to scale any farther than I am, I'm going to have to either hire people or outsource, but that's going to free up so much of my time that I can then focus on other areas of my life that I want to focus on, and continue just getting this passive income coming to me.
You can either fish more, or you can go to Mexico more, or you could go find more clients and hunt down some new business and, build the thing up. So that's I mean, that you're right at that's what David and I did too. We got started, we started getting as many clients as we can. And we just said, all right, where's the breaking point? Sounds like you're flirting with that line, but pressing it to say, okay, how many clients can we take on maximum until we just fall apart? All right. Then who do we got to bring in? What things am I doing that's repetitive? What things is he doing that's repetitive? And let's subtask this out. We never fully outsourced our business to somebody, because at the end of the day, it's our reputation and our name, and we want to make sure that the quality is there. So even a great way for you specifically is if you can find something in your day, something within the process that's just copy and paste, or every week you're doing the same thing, doing like a Loom recording of what you do and documenting that, and then being able to pass. I mean, you can get somebody to help you out for relatively cheap. A competent person, $10 an hour, you can find in the world to help you outsource some of your time, is what I like to think of, is not necessarily outsourcing my client or the work. It's just you're outsourcing your time to multiply what you can do at the end of the day. And then slowly build up confidence, rapport, or just fire the person because they're not a good fit, and go find somebody else. It usually you got to go through maybe 1, 2, 3 people, but if you don't give them full responsibility for the account that they could potentially sink the ship, just give them a little piece, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, could be a great option for you to start building a relationship with somebody that could help you eventually free up that time.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's finding a person to do what you're doing, which is watching their work. And then you're basically completely removed.
Right.
So that's where David and I are. We've hired freelancers. Now we were just babysitting the accounts, doing all the work. Then it came into, us babysitting the people, making sure that the work's getting done, fixing that, making sure that their quality is good on the work. And then now we've got another layer that takes us away from that. So this guy's doing that, and now we can focus on revenue generating tasks and building the team, getting more people. So it like minimal investment. It's not like a crazy, our manager costs us quite a bit, but to get those initial freelancers, depending on the service, is 100% affordable.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that sets you guys apart from a lot of the other course creators and agency owners out there. Is most of the other guys, they use their agency as a stepping stone, just enough to have some social proof to start a course.
Yeah, they get 5 clients, and now they're just selling it all day and running face. Our business is our business, and this whole thing just started off as us opening up this group and just getting more and more people asking for our help. And then it just made sense for us to roll something out that's repeatable, that's scalable. Because, David and I can't just be one-on-one all the time, because we actually are running the business. So that's definitely a good point.
Yeah. Your course wasn't created to replace the income from your agency. It was created because you genuinely wanted to give value to people in the industry, and hopefully, people don't have the same mistakes and obstacles that you guys did, because you were able to bring that value to them so early on when they're getting started.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah. We were fortunate to get a pretty significant client pretty early on in our agency that allowed us to spend a ton of money through the platform, Facebook specifically. And gave us the leeway to make mistakes and see what works, see what doesn't, see how the algorithm changes. But without that, experience, I definitely would have been a bit lost as to like how to effectively run these campaigns. So it was definitely kind of a trial by fire, but I was in a situation that I was able to just, I on one account spending like 300 grand, like a lot. So so I definitely appreciate, from like your perspective, is being able to take some of the stuff that we've learned and the hard way or made mistakes, and be able to benefit from that for sure. So that's awesome. Sweet. Yeah, Dave, do you have any other questions? Nick?
No, I definitely think, I'd love to do this again in a couple of months and just kind of see, where things are at. You've been a rocket ship so far, and I'm just excited to see, where you take this thing. We appreciate you, like, having the confidence in us that, we could, give you the skills to take things to the next level. I can't thank you enough for coming on, kind of sharing your story. I think that there's a lot of people that are going to watch this that have had a lot of doubts, have, kind of been in similar situations, or, haven't known if they have like what it takes to do something like this. And I just think like your story is just so, awesome and motivating. And I just think that people are going to watch this and be like, damn, whether they join our course or, just kind of do it on their own or someone else's course, whatever. It's just, cool to hear from people like yourself who, took it all the way and, haven't looked back.
Don't plan on it, man. I appreciate you guys having me on, giving me a chance to share some of my insight. And I owe you guys the world. You've given me like a 200% return on investment from your course and then some. And I will do anything I can to keep giving value back to other people who are just getting started, or anything I can do to help the industry. That's what I'm here for now.
That's awesome, man. I love that.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you, bud, and we'll talk soon, and sure we'll be chatting in the inner circle here this week, and have a kick-ass week.
Cool. I'm gonna go fishing, guys. Be good.
All right. Sounds good.
All
See
right.
ya.
Take care, Nick. Thanks, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.